What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to a special edition of La Banca podcast in English this time. Um, how can I say this? I know we've been gone for a minute, but we're back again. Um, Happy to see you again. Happy 2022. I hope everybody out there is, doing good and well. But before we get started with anything and everything, you're probably wondering why I'm by myself right now, but I won't be for long. Trust me. Um, we're doing a special edition transfer deadline day recap on certain teams. Obviously, there's a busy time in the transfer window during the winter time, and we want to take a time to recognize those transfers and those switches that players made. And this episode, we're focusing on FC Barcelona, which is a team that I support a lot. And the person who's going to be doing this show with me, who I'll bring on here in a little bit, we're going to talk back and forth about the incoming players, the players that left, and whether or not Barcelona made themselves better to achieve whatever goals they got going on. But with that being said, first and foremost, we will be starting to do live shows again starting February 10th. Next Thursday will be the return of La Banca podcast live on YouTube. So check us out there. 7 p.m. Thursdays, Spanish and English show as always. So we're looking forward to seeing you. But before that happens, I want to welcome in Pato. What's going on, Pato? How you doing?
How are you guys? How are you? How is everybody doing? I want to wish everybody a happy New Year, happy 2022. Very happy to be back. I hope we can keep the show rolling every week. We can find a right date, right time. It's fun for us. I'm pretty sure it's fun for everybody who's watching to try to give them the best info we have, our thoughts and everything. So I'm really happy to be back, and I hope I hope we're good for something this year, right?
For sure, for sure. Like I was telling the audience and the people who will see this later on, we're doing a little bit of a series. We want to, obviously recap the transfers that happened, and we're going to focus on Barcelona today. Pato, obviously before we talk about the new players that came in and the players who left, obviously I know that you're not the biggest Barcelona fan, but I mean, just a little bit of your thoughts on Barcelona before January happened. Where do you think they're at, and before we get into the players that came in.
No, no, no. You know what? I'm a Madrid fan, and I'll always be. But I think Barcelona did some good things, and it's always good when Barcelona is at their best because those are the best games. I mean, El Clásico, dude. Once you hear El Clásico, you're looking for the dates so they can play each other. It's always good to see Barcelona on Champions League, on Copa del Rey, and on La Liga, always fighting at the very top. I mean, right now they're currently fifth, but they're right there, man. I mean, with the additions, I see they grab some players that have chip on their shoulder. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I think they did right. Uh, you know, Laporta is some good things. He makes a few mistakes at the beginning, but he seems to be getting things back rolling. So
Sounds good.
it's always good to see a competitive Barcelona on the field.
Obviously, but yeah, since speaking about incoming and new players, let's talk about those incoming new players. Obviously, you mentioned, players with chips on their shoulders, players that other teams didn't really want, and things of that nature. So let's start off with the first one, man. The first one that actually came in, Ferran Torres from Manchester City for 55 million euros. A lot of people were wondering, how was Barcelona able to get this transfer through, with the huge debt that they had. Obviously, things had to be done to maneuver the salary cap because the La Liga put a real strict salary cap on them this year to make sure that they get their finances back in line, which is, obviously needed for Barcelona because of the debt that they're in right now at the moment. But Ferran Torres, Spanish international, obviously knows La Liga very well. Before he was at Man City, I believe he was at Valencia. So I mean, he knows the league very well back in Spain in his home country. So it shouldn't be too much of a getting used to level. But what are your thoughts on Ferran Torres playing for Barcelona now?
Oh, very good, very good. Most of these players are moving on because they want to have a chance to be in the World Cup. Granted, the guys who their countries are gonna be on the World Cup, but they need to expose themselves. The Ferran Torres, that was a good signing. I was surprised though that Manchester City let him go,
Yeah,
but I also understand that Guardiola is a Spanish coach, so he was looking out for the best for him in a sense that at Barcelona he will have an opportunity to play and to be on the national team. I mean, at Manchester City, how many minutes did you see that him? I
Yeah.
mean, this is a great opportunity. Yeah, I think it was more of Guardiola knowing that he needs to play so he can be on the World Cup, and Barcelona having a lot of needs. Granted, Coutinho had to leave. Coutinho had to sign with another team before they opened that cap so he could come in. And
We'll get to that later. We'll get to that later on. But yeah, but Ferran Torres, I mean, obviously he's a young forward for the Spanish national team, and I think he's an important component for that team too. But as far as Barcelona's need of him, obviously I think he's starting up there in the front three and the right.
oh, yeah,
You know,
I love what you mentioned Spain. I love what Spain is doing. Spain is not looking for the big name, but Luis Enrique is putting up a team, a conjunctive team that can play together. And Torres is a big part of this. So I mean, he needs to be playing so he can be on the starting 11 for Spain. So this is great for him. And
yeah, and what a great first goal for him, against
oh yeah,
Atletico
golazo,
Bilbao.
golazo, golazo. Really, really nice goal.
Unfortunately came at a loss, and obviously they got eliminated in the Copa del Rey by Atletico Bilbao. But what a great first goal, just to show his class. The next player that we're going to talk about coming in, Adama Traore, which if you're a Cules and you follow La Masia and you follow Barcelona, he's not somebody who we're not too familiar with. We know about this guy. He was with us, during the whole Neymar saga before he left to Wolves and things of that nature. But yeah, man, what do you think about the return of Adama?
I was shocked that he was leaving the Wolves because this was a guy who was very well. I mean, dude, he had as far as I know, he had a very high price when
Nuno
Espiritu Santo was there, dude. This guy was a must-have player, and dude, he did produce. I mean, there were some pretty goals that you saw between him and Jimenez, where they get the ball in outside of the area and they start one on one. I mean, crossing the balls, moving it to the right, and then Adama will center, and Jimenez will come in and score. Those goals were, I mean, they were pretty. If you're a fan, you love those goals. So I think this guy has got a lot on him, dude, because he's got explosiveness. I mean, what I like about him is that he goes full speed because he's got a lot of athleticism, but he can center, man. He's one of those few guys who, if he centers, dude, he's not one of those crazy centers that either goes behind the goal or short or anything like that, where a player is really explosive, but once he gets to the big area or the area where he can make a good center, dude, he's good. I like his approach, and he's got a lot to prove because how are you gonna give him on a free loan? I really still don't understand this. I mean,
I think it's one of those things where Wolves appreciate him and want to give him the opportunity to go back and up this value, because I mean he wasn't having the greatest season in the Premier League this season. Obviously, change of coach over there, change of culture, and all that stuff. And he goes to a place where he knows where he recognizes and he grew up in. And he's very familiar with the system. He understands what the Barca way is. And things of that nature. My question to you, though, before we move on to the next player, is, man, obviously we just talked about Ferran Torres. Obviously we know the other players that Barcelona already had, like Memphis Depay, Ansu Fati unfortunately got hurt. Dembele, we'll speak about him later on. Luke de Jong, and Martin Braithwaite. Where does Adama get his minutes from? I mean, there's no more cups. I mean, yeah, they have the Europa League still, and the league, but I mean, will he be able to get the minutes needed to really, get out this slump that he's in?
I think so, dude. The Europa League, man. I mean, I think it's unfortunate that they lost to Athletic Bilbao because the Copa del Rey would have guaranteed him more minutes and the incoming players. But I mean, they lost already, so they got to go over that. But I think the Europa League, man. Well, playing like that, Europa League, La Liga, dude, he's gonna have some minutes. I mean, we know that Barcelona, they're coming up. I mean, they're starting to play Yale and play together, but not everybody's at their best level. If Adama can do what he was doing 2 seasons ago, I mean, last season, 2 seasons ago, dude,
they got to steal.
Yeah, and not only that though, they can get him back and be on the national team too.
Yeah, because I mean, 2-3 years ago, you were talking about a player who Wolves were trying to get somewhere between the neighborhood of 80 to 100 million euros.
Correct. Correct.
And now the obligation to the not the obligation. I'm sorry. The if they want to sign him on a permanent transfer, I think it's only 30. So I mean, you're talking about a player who, if he finds his form and finds his way in his soccer, how he had it a couple of years back, then you're getting a hell of a player.
Yeah.
Go,
I
no,
don't
go
think
ahead.
he forgot. I don't think he forgot how to play. Most of these players, the issue is that when a coach goes away and they get a new system, the coach has a lot to do with it because
Oh yeah.
they don't see that player the same anymore. They go like, oh, Nuno Espiritu Santo saw him as this guy who had power, speed, and could go to the line and center, and the center forward could come in and probably score. It didn't matter who was there, Jimenez or anyone else. But probably these other coachmen don't see him as that. Probably his game is slower, and they need Adama to come in, touch, and everything. And probably that's not his game. But
No,
but
I
I
understand what
see,
I'm saying.
I watched the Wolverhampton games, dude. And when he comes in, he does good. I mean, he's not. He didn't forget how to play. So
No. I don't say he forgot to play, but I mean, it is interesting that obviously with the changes that's going on in Wolves, obviously I guess the style of play didn't run through him as much as used to under Nuno. But the next player and I know there's four that technically
please,
got.
please, I want you to speak. I want
You
you to
know,
speak this
I know
next
there's.
player. Please, I know it hurts. I
I
know
know
that. I know
there's
that you probably won't score ever again in the Premier League. Please.
There's so technically there was four players that signed for Barcelona in January, which the fourth one was Dani Alves because that's when he got registered. But we're not gonna mention him. We already know what Dani Alves has been up to, what he's been doing, and for him being 38 years old to come back and play with heart and spirit and to be one of the leaders on the pitch, it's great to see. But the last signing that came in from my other club that I love dearly, obviously behind me, Arsenal. Somebody who was lethal for the first 2 years he went with Arsenal. Somebody who honestly on that trajectory we would have thought would have became an Arsenal legend. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. The last 18 months haven't been real pretty for him at Arsenal. Ups and downs.
I was disappointed too. I'm not an Arsenal fan, but I was very disappointed because he had nothing but to grow in there. And granted, I mean, he's not going to have all the chances he had at Dortmund.
Yeah.
But dude, he had. Did you see him miss so many goals with Arsenal?
I mean, look, the last. I mean, look, I watch Arsenal games religiously, right?
Mm-hmm.
The last year and a half have not been the prettiest. Obviously, COVID and all that stuff. Whatever, right? But just a lot of off the field issues. With him partying, with him, going places where you're not supposed to go. With him being late, and things like that. Like when he was in Dortmund, that's understandable because he was a younger player. Up and coming. He was producing at a level that only we see Lewandowski produce at the moment, and Haaland, he was producing that type of level of goal scoring for Borussia Dortmund when he was over there. So you kind of, when you got a player of that caliber, you kind of, okay, fine. When it's his first 2 years here at Arsenal, scoring 20 plus goals, I think he won one of those years. He was a Golden Boot winner, which is amazing, obviously, because the only other one for Arsenal was City Henry. But for him to come in like that, guns blazing, win 2 titles with Arsenal, the FA Cup and the Community Shield, obviously, and then have a runners up at the Europa League against Chelsea and a couple of years back. It was an amazing first 2 years, and then all of a sudden, just boom, everything just crashed down.
I think to me he got disconnected from the team and from the game for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
What I was more disappointed on is that I thought he was gonna make a society with Lacazette. I thought he and Lacazette were gonna be able to make some kind of partnership with, they were gonna be kind of lethal, and that never happened. I mean, it was even hard to put both on the field because it just didn't work.
Okay.
I was very disappointed. I thought.
No. I agree with you completely, but we're not here to talk about Arsenal. So
luckily,
yeah. So with that being said, you mentioned earlier in the show, in this show that we had players coming in with chips on their shoulders, and I think Aubameyang has
One
the
of them.
biggest chip on his
He's one of
shoulder.
them.
A world-class striker. Nobody's ever going to deny his talent for scoring goals. Does Barcelona did they pick up a magic bean here by picking up this quality side player? Do you think he'll produce anywhere near the level he did for Arsenal the first 2 seasons?
I think he should. I mean, all the we well know that Barcelona they have this tiki taka deal where they move the ball, but the issue is that the opportunities they have, the forwards just do not produce. You cannot just have the junk being on the small area or big area all the time, missing goals, and there is nobody to challenge him. I mean, if with a Aubameyang or Traore, whoever is in there, he needs to be challenged, dude. If this guy misses a goal, the other game he won't play. You put a Aubameyang in there. So this right here, I don't see why he should be scoring goals. Barcelona, the issue with Barcelona, to me, it always be that they move the ball side to side, but when it comes down to shoot at the goal a couple of times, they never do it because the ball is moved so much that, dude.
Sometimes they kind of pass the ball around.
Yeah, they kind of abuse that game, but that's their identity, right? But
for sure,
the ball, whenever they're moving the ball is always inside the area for somebody to put it in. So if he can come up with a few goals, dude, he could be the starter right there. But we'll see. I mean, but I think my opinion is that he's got a chip on his shoulder and he will produce.
That sounds good. I mean, look, I'm an Aubameyang fan, obviously, because he was an Arsenal fan. He was an Arsenal player. He did really well for us with our Arsenal, being the captain and winning the Golden Boot and bringing us trophies during a time in Arsenal where we're not at our highest like we should be. But I would be extremely happy if Aubameyang comes in and takes this opportunity seriously and he becomes the goal scorer that we need, because obviously, ever since Xavi has come in, you see Barcelona, they're moving the ball. That's never been the problem. But scoring the goals
Barcelona everybody says that they have issues in the back, and they do. But if they can score and keep the ball, the defense won't be exposed that much, dude, right? Because it's not the same on a 0-0 game when on a counter, like the way Madrid has been playing them, that on a counter, they get you, right? But if you're up 1-0, that's just a tie. If you're up 2-0, you win by 1. So it's always like that. On a 0-0 game, your defense look even more exposed. But, dude, this guy, everybody, when he was in Germany, everybody wanted him. Not only Arsenal got him. I don't know what happened. He probably got distracted with the English life.
I mean, it's just, change the code. Like I said, like when Unai Emery was there, he knew what kind of talent he had with Aubameyang, so he focused and everything went by. It was him, Ozil, and him. When you have a number 10 like Ozil who can get you the ball, Aubameyang took advantage. He scored goals. He scored goals just like he did in Borussia Dortmund. Obviously after Emery left and Arteta came in, obviously they had the friction, Ozil and him, whatever. So they took the number 10 away, whatever, and they started using other players to kind of patch it up, but didn't work as well. But he was still able to manage to create goals and stuff like that. But after a while, it just lays on you. And look, I'm not here to blast Arteta or whatever for his tactics. Arsenal are in a good position currently, for what they have. Mm-hmm. But without getting too further into Arsenal, because we're doing a Barcelona show right now, mm-hmm. I think Aubameyang can come in and do a job for Barcelona. So that's what I'm hoping for. But speaking on that, obviously with players coming in, there has to be players going out, and Barcelona, for as much, obviously debt that they're in and stuff like that, that obviously over the summer they got rid of, Lionel Messi didn't resign, who was their highest paid player. Antoine Griezmann was loaned out to Atletico Madrid, which was their second highest player. They got rid of Luisito Suarez the year before. And they got rid of their highest earner after all that, Philippe Coutinho, sending him to Aston Villa with his old teammate and Liverpool, Stevie Gerrard, who's actually the head coach now. Pato, to be honest, look, the tenure that Coutinho has had in Barcelona has been unfortunate. I'm a Coutinho fan. I think he has all the skill and all the talent in the world. I'm not sure what happened here, I mean, obviously injuries, style of play, things of that nature can always go on. But like the first game with Aston Villa, he came in there motivated, did a thing. The game he was in yesterday, Brazil versus Paraguay.
Damn, dude, he had a golazo.
What a golazo!
He had
So
a
I
very
mean,
nice goal. Dude, and that's the problem is that I'm not a Coutinho fan. I always thought he was just another player, but then he does something like this, like yesterday, and you go like, man, this guy is different. And you might be right. You might be right about him. I know you like him a lot, but he had to go. He had to go. A lot of these players. The thing is that they come to Barcelona or they come to Madrid or all these big teams, and they don't make it. Dude, they need to get the hell out of there as quick as possible because
yeah.
there is teams that are not made for every player, and we're gonna get to that point with the other guy who was about to go. But
Yeah, so,
Coutinho is just listen. I know Messi was the star at Barcelona, and the game that Coutinho had is just not fit to be on with Messi. It's not really easy to play with Messi on the field when your characteristics
yeah.
are more like him, and you know that in the Argentinian team, Dybala cannot even find the field. I
Yeah.
mean, he played a little bit yesterday, but it's very hard to play like that because what Messi needs is guys going by him, so he can go in the middle and guys go by him, so they can get the sides and he go in the middle
Yeah.
freely. So
Yeah, I mean, look, I completely agree with you. I mean, I think Coutinho when he played for Liverpool, he was their Messi, when he was in Liverpool.
Right.
So you can't bring somebody else's Messi to Barcelona while Messi's still here. It's just not going to work.
Look, I watched the game yesterday, and he looked great. I mean,
Yeah.
he looked great touching the ball. The goal he scored, dude. He was probably right there at the player of the game.
Yeah. So I mean, he's out there distributing. So I think this Aston Villa move is going to be real good for him, and I hope so. To be honest, because I think he's a really great player, and I really like him a lot. And obviously, unfortunately, it didn't work out here in Barcelona. But I mean, I would like to see him do good in Aston Villa. Try to go out there and help out Stevie G. And bring up the level of Aston Villa.
Can he make them forget about Grealish?
I will see, man. Hopefully, man. Grealish, who, man?
Grealish, I mean, dude, he was a man there.
Yeah, but we forgot about him because ever since he went to Man City, he's disappeared. But anyways, man, obviously Coutinho's the only player who left, but there was another player who's supposed to leave but didn't leave. And we'll speak on this a little bit because obviously he's still at the club, and we want to respect that. But obviously we're talking about Ousmane Dembele. Your thoughts on the whole Dembele saga. I mean, obviously the agents get involved a lot heavily when it comes to soccer when it comes to business decisions in football, and contracts and things of that nature. But do you think, I mean, if Dembele has to sit down the rest of the month, the rest of 6 months, that's going to really hamper his World Cup chances to go participate with France first and foremost, and it's going to really take him down, as far as like. I don't think that he's gonna have a hard time signing for a big club. I think big clubs are ready to sign him. But I mean, if Barcelona and Xavi really want to, they can just sit him down and not play him. They gave him the opportunity to leave, but he didn't want to. Well, his agent didn't want him to. So, what's your thoughts on it before we end this show?
As far as the business side, we can, if we don't know what really goes down, we can not have an opinion on that. But on the field, I think if I'm Xavi, I'm looking at my chart of talented guys, and if he's on my top 5, I play him. And what needs to happen is that someone needs to come in as a referee between him, Xavi, and ownership, and say, Osman, we probably made a mistake on trying to push you to sign. If you want to leave, fine, but you're still under contract, and you're gonna have to help us until you finish your contract. I think he will look better. Dembele will look better because he will say, you know what, I'm not signing, but I'm going to give you everything I have for all the time that I was hurt, and you cover me.
Yeah, I think everybody's saying the right thing. So Laporta, he basically said, look, he's still a Barca player for another 6 months. But I don't make the decisions on who plays and who doesn't. Xavi, the head coach, does. So I think obviously, and he's on the Europa League roster, so he is available for selection if they do decide to pick him. So I guess we'll see next Thursday if he plays, or maybe even the Sunday against Atletico. We'll see what happens.
The main thing is that I hope I just hope he. A lot of these players, they make a lot of money, dude. He won the World Cup with
Oh, yeah.
France and everything. So these they become divas, even though it's European soccer, but divas are across the water too. So I hope he doesn't treat this like, okay, you know what, they did me wrong. I don't want to play. He needs to play. So if he wants to be in the World Cup roster, dude, he needs to play because
Yeah.
they're not gonna pick him because of you know. Granted, Barcelona could have handled that a little bit different, but I mean, I know that they need help. This is the problem with the clubs, though, is that they're on a financial. They having financial issues, right?
Mhm.
So they pay these players so much money. So, dude, to me, I also understand Barcelona that they came to him and said, "Hey, do you want to sign?" He said, "No, I don't want to sign." Okay, but if you don't want to sign, they're trying to pressure him. You're gonna have to put you in the bench. You won't be able to play. I mean,
Yeah.
if they come to some kind of conclusion, dude, and make him play, he's a talent, man. He's gonna help
Yeah.
him.
Of course. Okay, so with that being said, I mean, one last question for you, Pato. Obviously, Barcelona. Obviously, the goal is Champions League qualification for next season. I don't think they're going to win the Liga. I mean, Real Madrid and Sevilla are the two teams running away with that. Obviously, they got eliminated Copa del Rey. We have Europa League, which is another way for them to qualify for Champions League in case they don't qualify through the league. So let me ask you a question. Um, how do you think they end up in the Europa League, and do you think they make the top four in La Liga when the season is over? They face Napoli, their first opponent for the Europa League, which is going to be a very tough opponent because Napoli is doing really
Right.
well. Serie A, and they have a really talented team, a very talented team, very veteran team that knows how to win.
Do,
Do you
do they
think they
play
do?
at Camp Nou the first game? Do they close at
I'll check that up on you. But what do you think? What do you think
because
they're?
on Italian teams, that's the thing though, is that when they close at home, they have certain advantage because of the way they play in Italy, how they close their defense and everything. That is very hard to score on them. If they close at Camp Nou, it can be a different
So,
ball.
answer La Liga question. Do you think they end up top four by the end of the season?
I think they're going to. You know what I love about La Liga though? Every year is that I don't know why. I don't know if it's done on purpose, but Barcelona, Madrid, Atletico de Madrid, and Sevilla usually end up playing the teams that are ready to go to second division the last few games. And I love that about La Liga. That right there is more exciting than probably the tournament itself. I love that, dude. That I don't know why they do it on purpose, but usually Barcelona is playing Elche, Cadiz, Mallorca, Osasuna on those last games, and usually it's at their house. Teams that are hungry, ready to fight you and everything. I think they play four, but I'm gonna go look at the schedule again and look how they end up, which teams are playing each other. So
Okay, so
I
you
think
say
that
yes. You say yes to top four.
uh-huh.
So I just looked it up. They actually the first leg is at Camp Nou, and second leg is in
Oof,
Estadio Diego
that's
Armando
dope right
Maradona,
there.
which is in Napoli.
That's dope right
Um, so if do you think they get past Napoli?
there. Oof. I don't know. What we like 3 weeks from now?
No,
The
that's the
game.
next week.
Damn. Yeah. They and then the second game
It'll be the following
next
week.
month. Next month. They need to get a good advantage this game
Yeah.
because it will give them at least 6 weeks until they have all the players. They play together with all the players and they go to
Okay.
Napoli.
Let me ask you this, and we'll close out with this. If they get past Napoli, what do you think their chances are to win La Europa League?
Oh, it will be a lot of confidence because this is one of the strongest teams. They didn't get a good draw with the Europa League. This is one of the strongest teams. So they pass through this, it will bring them together, dude. And then you will have more time with the new players already playing with you. So if they go through this, if they go through Napoli, dude, it will be a great deal of confidence
Sounds
for
good.
La Liga and for the Europa League. I
Sounds
think
good.
teams right now, dude, Betis shouldn't even be there. I mean, they will go down. They always have this thing of melting down. Uh, I think it will be the same: Madrid, Sevilla, Atletico, and Barcelona. I don't see why not.
So, yeah, I agree with you. So what do you grade them on their transfer window for January, A through F? What do you give them? What kind of grade?
Obviously, they didn't get the great players, but dude, I give them a B. I'll
A
give them
B?
a B. Yeah, I was
Sounds
gonna go
good.
B plus, but no, that but to me, I think Xavi's doing great things, dude, because
Yeah.
he's coaching and he's looking at players. I mean, pretty much he's getting free players though, because remember free transfers. So, but he's getting guys who have chip on their shoulders, who are ready to play, and they have to prove themselves too, because Aubameyang is got to play for a contract. So he's got to produce. Adama has have to produce. Ferran Torres has to produce because if he wants to stay, he's got to show Barcelona that he's worth. So
Sounds good. Sounds
we'll
good.
see.
Pancho, well, appreciate you. Taking some time to talk to me and go over obviously one of my favorite clubs in the world, Barcelona. Obviously,
It's
one of
very
your most.
painful. It's very painful. I went
Yeah.
online. I went to the stores, but I couldn't find a Barcelona jersey.
Oh, man, it's all good. It's all good. I should let you borrow the scarf from the back. But guys, obviously, like I said when I mentioned earlier, we're going to be back live shows February 10th next Thursday. So look out for that. But again, thank you guys. And this will be
No,
the
no, no.
first of the series. This will be
I
the first of the
appreciate it, Mark.
series.
And do you know what? I mean, are we gonna change the date or?
We'll talk about that later.
All right.
So this is the first of a couple of teams for the series. Next one will be Newcastle. So see you guys later. Bye.